Welcome back to Jason's Pen Journey. Today I'm going to continue my spooky season, Orange November, uh, unintentional series with the Reese's Pieces. I've talked about this one a couple of times, and I finally got around to inking it up last night and trying it out. So, to give you a quick overview of Rhys's Pieces. This is RHYS. So Rhys is out of Arizona, custom maker, one-man shop. So he does his own everything himself, and he's got some really cool pieces that are pieces. Rhys's Pieces. Rhys has cool pieces up on his website, and I had seen somebody share one of his pieces. I keep saying pieces. One of his pens as something that they were showing off, and I said, "That's really cool. I'm going to go check out this maker that was new to me." And I landed on Rhys's website and found something that was on sale that was just like the perfect pen for the season. It was early October. I was looking for things that are, orange and black, and without realizing I was also getting a couple of other things that are in orange and black. So I wound up buying the autumn foliage piece, which I'll show you here. So this is Rhys's Pieces. It's one of his primary piece models. The resin and design he's calling Autumn Foliage. Each one is one of a kind, so if you really love this one, you can't get it because I have it. And unless you want to buy it from me, in which case, let's talk. But one of the things that I really have been into, as we're, kind of gearing towards Halloween, is that orange and black style, getting in the season. So I showed the Asvine V800 in amber. So to give you that comparison, and then here was the Leonardo Bengal Tiger. So all of these are, very, at a quick glance, they all have some similar characteristics, but these are all very different pens from very different makers as well. So we're talking specifically about the Rhys's Pieces today. So you can't really see it on the video here, but there is some subtle sparkle in the body. Might pick up a little bit here in the light. Yeah, you can see it a little bit on the video, but a really cool resin, just really pretty pen. I actually like this one that it's a bit more on the black side than the orange side, so the orange is not overwhelming like it is, not in a bad way, but this Bengal Tiger from Leonardo is very much orange with a little bit of black and white, whereas the Rhys's Pieces is, a little bit more balanced between the black and the orange, which I think is really nice. It's got a gold plated clip. It has the tipped ends on both the cap and the back of the pen. So if you try to rest it on top, it's not going to stand up or anything like that. One of the things that I really think is interesting about Rhys's pens is the length of the grip section. So you can see here, if I put my fingers down towards the end of the grip, how much left there is of this grip section that I'm not resting my fingers on. So a lot of pens, when you put your knuckle down like that, you'll be on the threads. But in this one, the threads are all the way back here. So you've got this really large, long section that is really comfortable to use. But it does take some getting used to, especially if you're used to something where your fingers are closer to the nib. And they're going to rest on the threads themselves. So as a result, when you uncap it, it is considerably longer of a pen than a lot of other things in its same category. So I'm going to bring in my little Alfie tray just to give you some size comparisons. So if I start with those two that we showed already, the Leonardo and the Asvine V800, I'll bring in a Sailor 1911 large, a Platinum 3776, and then on the other end of the height spectrum is the Gravitas Monster, and this is the River City Pen Company Arlington and the extra long. So, when you stack it up that way, the Reese's Pieces is right in the middle. But if we uncap everything, you'll be able to see a very different story. Suddenly the Gravitas monster is, not quite as large when you compare those two things out. Here's the Aswine. So these are all, longer pens with bigger nibs. Well, the Arlington's with a standard number 6 nib. But look at the size difference of the Reese's Pieces relative to the Aswine when you look at it that way. The Aswine's got a number 8 nib, so the nib itself is bigger, but the Reese's Pieces section here is so much longer than these other ones. Here's what the Leonardo looks like. The Leonardo looks positively a little, tiny stubby relative at that point. Here's the not the pilot, sailor. And finally, the 3776. You can see the huge difference in the length of the section here between all these pens. If I look at the Gravitas Monster, which I thought was a really, just when I was thinking out of the box of like what was the longest things, the Rhesus Pieces is considerably longer at that point. The Arlington, which is an extra long pen, the grip is not that big. It's thick, but it's not as long. So that's one of the things that's really unique and I think innovative about the Reese's Pieces is just how long that grip section is. So you're not resting on the threads. I'm sure if you had a much larger hand than I have, your thumb will be the joint of your index finger and thumb will be resting on the threads, but I mean, you got to be a giant to need that. So let me pause for a moment while I cap everything back up and put those away. Okay, coming back. So yeah, it's a different writing experience when the grip section is so different. So if I bring in just a quick piece of paper, something to lay it down. I inked it up with the Iroshizuku Fuyu-Gaki, really cool orange ink. I'm glad I finally got a chance to use this ink. Very interesting color to write with. Let's see if we can get that to zoom. No, keep losing the zoom. And I'm sorry, the camera's shaking as I write. And I'm finding that my hand is kind of naturally going back to balance the pen. So I'm not gripping it way up there. I'm gripping it back here a bit more, which is something that you just kind of get used to as you write with this pen. I was playing with it last night and finding that the longer I wrote, the more I was kind of shifting around and trying to find what the sweet spot was from a balance standpoint. The pen does post, but with this lengthy of a pen, that's not really advisable. So it's too long and changes the center of gravity too much. So the balance gets way off if you post it. So don't post it. Again, you can if you just are worried about losing the cap, but it's just too long at that point. Between the length of the section and the length of the cap, it's too long. So I did write out quite a bit on this page about the pen, the paper I was using, the ink I was using, my kind of initial impressions of the pen, mostly what I've just been telling you here. I also did use it for some other long form writing last night, and it behaved really well. So it's a standard number 6 nib in here. It's a Yovo nib, but it's actually a Tachia branded nib that Rhys had on hand. I can't quite get that to zoom, of course, but it's Tachia. and inside was a Kaweco converter. So, single maker, piecing together some of the parts here. Um, I did appreciate that Rhys did send over, before he sent over the pen, he did a quick tuning of the nib before he sent this over. So this is Rhys writing it, not me. He also included a note about the Tachia nib, so it's not branded with his branding. It's branded with Tachia. He had a little bit of an inventory counting snafu as he was boxing things up. So I think if I were getting this custom made, if it was not a one of a kind resin, I think the only things I would do a little differently is obviously get a nib and maybe a clip that were colored differently than the kind of the gold plating. I think this would look just absolutely stunning with a silver clip or a black ruthenium plated clip would be the other option. But gold doesn't really fit nicely from a color perspective with the orange and black and white there. Same thing with the nib. If it was a silver plated nib, that would probably look best. So maybe silver and silver. Otherwise, black and black would be the other option there. But these are nitpicks. Obviously, I can also replace the nib. I can't replace the clip, but those are the kind of the complaints, but nitpicks in terms of the design. Otherwise, this is a really cool pen. I really, like I said, I kind of looked through my collection to see what else had a grip section this long, and the only thing I thought might be equivalent was going to be the Monster and the Gravitas Monster, and it turned out to not even be close. I didn't even check out the July 930, the giant baseball bat sized pen, and that was also not even close. You add in the size of that number 9 nib, that's a different story. But otherwise, I could not figure out any other pen in my collection that had a grip that long. So it really stands out. The other thing that Rhys's website does say is that he's changing the threading that he's doing on his pens going forward. So he has in the past done a single start thread, and he's moving to a triple start thread, which for those who don't know what that means, and that I count myself in that camp until I was researching this a little bit, it's where does the threading actually start as you start screwing on? So if I hold my thumb, let's do it there, lined up with the nib, where does the threading start? So there's the threading started there. So this one is, I think, the triple thread. I thought it was based on what I read on the website. I thought this one was supposed to be the single start threading, but I think this is actually triple. So I'd have to confirm with Rhys. And Rhys, if you watch this, you can confirm as well. But really like this pen. I'm very happy that I got a chance to play around with it, and I'll use it for the next several days as well. So thank you, Rhys, for sending it over. It's been a pleasure to write with, and I look forward to using it a lot more. If you do have any questions about Rhys's pieces, I will include the link to Rhys's site on the video. He's been very responsive when I've messaged him on Instagram. He's been really quick to respond, and just somebody that is very much motivated to make sure that his customers are happy. So great job by Rhys. His website also does have some really cool other things that he's been making. So he does a lot with bottle stoppers and rings are the two kind of big categories that I see on there. He also does a lot of custom commission stuff. So if you like what you see and you're interested in a pen that's a little different shaped than a lot of other traditional ones, he does take commissions. So feel free to reach out to Rhys, and I'm sure he'd be happy to work with you on something. So thank you again. Like, subscribe, comment, all the usual stuff in the video. Go follow Rhys on all the usual socials. And until next time, keep on writing.